Mr. Jordan was a quiet man with a kind heart. Every morning he opened his small grocery store on 5th Street before the sun came up. The wooden sign above the door said, Jordan's Market, named after his late father who built the shop many years ago. The store wasn't fancy. The floor creaked when people walked in. The shelves were old and the bell above the door made a soft ring when someone entered. But to the people in the poor neighborhood, this little shop was a treasure. Mr. Jordan always greeted his customers with a smile. He gave free fruit to hungry kids who had no lunch. He helped old ladies carry their bags home. When someone didn't have enough money, he would quietly say, "Pay me next time," even if he knew they might never return with the money. Everyone loved him. Everyone. Except the people across the street. A big, shiny building had just opened, across from Jordan's Market. A real estate company had moved in. Their windows were tinted, their cars were expensive, and their eyes were on Mr. Jordan's store. One day, a man in a suit walked into the shop. He looked around like he didn't belong there. "You must be Mr. Jordan," the man said. "My name is Rick. I work for Eastway Development. We're buying up properties on this block. We'd like to buy your store too." Mr. Jordan wiped his hands on a towel. "I'm not selling," he said gently. Rick smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. "We're offering good money, more than this place is worth." Mr. Jordan shook his head. "This store is my father's dream. He worked day and night to build it. I promised him I'd keep it alive." Rick's smile faded. "All right," he said. "But don't wait too long. Offers like this don't last." After that day, things started to change. Strange people began showing up. Some came inside and looked around without buying anything. Others just stood outside, watching. A tall man with sunglasses leaned on a car across the street for hours. A woman pretended to read a newspaper but never turned a page. Mr. Jordan noticed, but he said nothing. He just continued doing what he always did, serving his neighbors, helping anyone who needed it. But the tension was growing. One afternoon, he saw a little girl crying outside the store. Her mother had been yelled at by one of the strange men for loitering near the sidewalk. Mr. Jordan gave the girl a candy bar and told her everything would be okay. But inside he was worried. Then came the worst night. It was a quiet evening. Mr. Jordan had just locked the front door and was cleaning up the counter. Outside, the street was empty. No cars, no people. Just the soft hum of a streetlight. Suddenly, crash! A brick flew through the front window, shattering the glass. Mr. Jordan jumped back, his heart racing. Glass flew across the floor. The cold wine rushed in. He stepped forward and saw something tied to the brick. It was a piece of paper. He opened it slowly. The message was written in bold red letters. "Get out." Mr. Jordan looked up and down the street. No one was there. Not a single person. Even the tall man with sunglasses was gone. It was like the night had swallowed everyone. He stepped outside and stood in the broken glass. The cold breeze brushed against his face. The once lively street was now silent. From the shadows, a few curtains moved. Someone had seen, but no one came out to help. The people who loved him were now too afraid. "Mr. Jordan bent down and picked up the broken glass with his bare hands. Blood appeared on his fingers, but he didn't stop. He cleaned it all, piece by piece, his eyes full of pain but his hands steady. When he finished, he stood at the doorway, looking across the street at the shiny glass building. "They want me gone," he whispered, his voice barely louder than the wind. But why? The next morning, Mr. Jordan arrived early to fix the broken window. He covered it with a wooden board and wrote in black marker, "Open as always." His hands were sore and his back ached, but he stood tall. He smiled at his first customer, a little boy named Malik, and handed him a free banana. "Don't worry, kid," he said. "We're still here." But trouble didn't stop. 2 men in suits from the city came in later that day. They wore badges and carried clipboards. One of them said, "We're here for a health inspection." Mr. Jordan frowned. "But I just passed an inspection 2 months ago." "New policy," the man said coldly. "Let's take a look." They walked around the store, touching things with gloves. They pointed at the fridge and said the temperature was too high. They claimed the storage room was too dusty. One of them even said, "You have a rat problem," while pointing at a small hole in the back wall. Mr. Jordan was shocked. "That hole has been there for years. There's no rats." The inspector just wrote something on his clipboard. "You'll get a violation notice by tomorrow. Fix all this in 1 week or you'll be shut down." That night, Mr. Jordan sat alone on a crate behind his shop. His shoulders were heavy. The stars above seemed too far away. He looked down at his hands, the same hands that once built shelves with his father. Now they were shaking. A voice broke the silence. "You look tired," said a soft voice. He turned. A woman stood near the alley. She wore a long brown coat and held a small notebook. Her hair was tied back and her eyes were sharp. "I'm Clara," she said. "I've seen what they're doing to you." Mr. Jordan didn't say anything. He had seen her before, sitting across the street watching. He thought she was with the real estate people. Clara took a step forward. "I'm not with them. I'm a freelance journalist. I cover stories like yours, people who get pushed out quietly without anyone noticing." Mr. Jordan gave a tired smile. "If no one notices, then what's the point?" she replied. "That's why I'm here." Before he could say more, a loud crash came from the back of the store. Mr. Jordan rushed inside. His shelves were knocked over, cans rolled on the floor. A back window had been shattered. His store had been broken into. Again, Clara helped him pick up the cans. "This is more than a simple buyout," she said. "Someone wants you gone badly." Over the next few days, things got worse. The city sent a notice that his store license had expired, even though he had renewed it. The new copy was never received, and the city claimed there was no record of payment. Mr. Jordan showed them the receipt, but they didn't care. He received 2 more violation letters, one for unsafe flooring and one for improper food storage. But Mr. Jordan knew the truth. Someone was behind it. Customers became nervous. They started avoiding the shop. Some whispered, "He's in trouble," while others looked away when he greeted them. Mr. Jordan kept working. He refused to close. He used his savings to fix every fake violation, but money was running low. One day, young Malik came in again. He looked around the quiet store and asked, "Why don't you just leave, mister?" Mr. Jordan knelt down and placed a hand on Malik's shoulder. "Because if I leave, they win. This store is more than a place to buy food. It's a place where people are treated with respect." Malik nodded slowly. "My mom says we don't have money to shop here no more, but she says you always gave us hope." That evening, Mr. Jordan watched the sun set behind the tall building across the street. The windows reflected gold light, but he felt none of it. Clara returned that night. She handed him a photo. It showed one of the health inspectors standing with Rick, the man from Eastway Development, laughing at a cafe. Mr. Jordan stared at the photo for a long time. Then he looked up at Clara. His eyes didn't show fear anymore. "Let them keep pushing," he said. "I'm not going anywhere." A week later, Mr. Jordan stood behind his counter, pretending everything was fine. But inside, he felt the pressure building like a storm. His store was almost empty now. Only a few loyal customers still came in. Old Mrs. Langston, who needed milk, and young Malik, who stopped by just to say hello. The rest of the neighborhood avoided the shop. They were scared of what might happen if they were seen supporting him. Bills started piling up. The violations kept coming. Every day there was a new letter, a new problem. The fridge now needed urgent repair, or the city would shut him down. Then it happened. On a rainy Thursday morning, a black car pulled up in front of the store. 2 uniformed city officers stepped out. One had a clipboard, the other had a padlock in his hand. Mr. Jordan opened the door before they could knock. "Good morning," he said calmly. "We're here to enforce the shutdown," the man with the clipboard said. "Your business license is suspended due to multiple code violations. You must vacate the property immediately." "I paid every fine," Mr. Jordan said. "I fixed everything." The officer didn't look up. "We're just following orders." The second man stepped forward and reached for the door. "No," Mr. Jordan said firmly, standing in front of it. "This store is mine. You can't just—" The man shoved past him and pushed open the door. The other officer followed. Mr. Jordan stood frozen as they walked in and placed the padlock on the front gate. People across the street watched through windows. No one moved. No one said a word. The officers walked back to their car, leaving Mr. Jordan standing outside in the rain. The wooden board on the broken window had fallen off. The store looked tired, and now locked. He looked down and saw a notice taped to the glass, "Closed by order of the city." His hands trembled as he touched the door one last time. That evening, Clara found him sitting on the curb, soaked in rain. His eyes were red, not from the water but from tears. "They did it," he whispered. "They finally did it." Clara sat beside him without speaking. "I tried so hard," he said. "This store, it was my father's legacy. Now it's just a memory." Clara took out her notebook. "It's not over," she said. "You still have a voice." Mr. Jordan didn't answer. His heart felt heavy. For the first time, he felt truly alone. The next day, news spread fast. Jordan's Market closed by city. Some people in the neighborhood whispered, "It's not fair." Others said nothing. They were too scared. That night, Clara posted an article online titled, "The War on 5th Street, How a Community Store Was Silenced." It included pictures, the broken window, the fake violations, and the photo of Rick laughing with the inspector. Within hours, the post was shared hundreds of times, but Mr. Jordan didn't know. He was still inside the empty store, now dark and cold. He sat in the back room, holding a photo of his father. "You gave your life for this place," he whispered. "I'm sorry I failed you." Just then, a soft knock came on the back door. He stood up slowly and opened it. Malik was there, holding a small paper bag. "My mom made this for you," the boy said shyly. "She said you probably didn't eat today." Mr. Jordan smiled weakly and took the bag. "Thank you, Malik." Before the boy left, he looked up and said, "You didn't fail, mister. You're still here." Mr. Jordan closed the door and sat down. He opened the bag. It was a sandwich, simple but warm. That night he made a choice. They could shut his door. They could scare his customers, but they couldn't break his spirit. He picked up the old store sign from the ground, wiped it clean and placed it inside the window behind the glass. Jordan's Market, still standing. Then he sat down and wrote something on a piece of paper. Tomorrow he would fight back, not with anger, but with truth. The next morning the sun rose over 5th Street, but Mr. Jordan wasn't in his shop, because his shop was still locked. Instead, he stood on the sidewalk, dressed neatly in a suit his father once wore. He held a folder full of papers and photos. Clara stood beside him with her camera and notebook. People walked by, curious. Some stopped. Some whispered. Then Clara opened her laptop and connected a speaker. She played a video, her report, right there on the sidewalk. It showed everything. The health inspectors laughing with Rick, photos of fake violations, videos of the store helping people, kids getting free fruit, old folks getting their groceries carried home. Then came the big moment. A clip of Mr. Jordan being locked out of his store while no one helped him. The small crowd grew. Some people gasped. Others put their hands over their mouths. A few began to record with their phones. Mrs. Langston was there. She shouted, "This man fed our children when we had nothing, and now they throw him out like garbage?" Malik's mother stepped forward. Jordan's Market was the only place where we felt respected. What they did was wrong. By noon, the video had over 100,000 views online. News reporters showed up. Microphones, cameras, journalists. They all wanted to hear from the quiet man who had helped a whole neighborhood and got kicked out. Mr. Jordan stood in front of his locked store and faced the cameras. "I didn't open this store to become rich," he said softly. "I opened it to carry on my father's dream, to give back to a community that needed kindness." He held up the violation letters. They tried to scare me. They sent lies. They broke my windows. They shut my doors. But they can't shut the truth. The crowd cheered. One reporter asked, "What will you do now?" Mr. Jordan looked at Clara, then back at the crowd. "I'll keep fighting. Not just for my store, but for everyone who's ever been pushed aside and told they don't belong." That night, a local news station aired his story. The headline read, "Community hero forced out, but fights back with truth." Across the city, people watched. Some cried. Some got angry. Some got inspired. The next day, Eastway Development's office had protesters outside. People held signs that read, "Justice for Jordan. Stop corporate bullying. We stand." With 5th Street, inside the company building, Rick was pacing. His phone rang nonstop. His boss shouted from the other room, "Fix this! We're losing deals because of that video." But Rick couldn't fix it. The damage was done. Meanwhile, back on 5th Street, something unexpected happened. People from the neighborhood began showing up with food, tools, and paint. "I brought new glass for your window," one man said. "I can help repaint your walls," said another. Even kids helped sweep the sidewalk. The store was still locked, but hope was back. Then came the big moment. Clara rushed in, waving a piece of paper. "They're reopening your business license," she shouted. "The city reviewed your case and found the violations were fake. You're clear." Mr. Jordan took the paper slowly, his eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of relief. For a long moment he just stood there, holding the paper close to his chest. Then he turned to the crowd and said one word. Together. That night, people lit candles outside the shop. They left notes on the boarded window. "Thank you, Mr. Jordan. You kept us fed. We believe in you." As the stars lit up the sky, Mr. Jordan sat in front of the store on an old bench. Malik sat beside him, resting his head on the man's shoulder. "Are we going to open tomorrow?" the boy asked. Mr. Jordan smiled, looked at the glowing candles, the smiling faces, and the crowd that stayed late into the night. "We're going to open forever." The next morning, the sun rose gently over 5th Street. Mr. Jordan stood in front of his shop with a new key in his hand. He looked at the fresh coat of paint, the cleaned windows, and the new hand-painted sign above the door. "Jordan's Market and for the people." He turned the key. The door opened with a soft creak like it had been waiting for him. The moment was quiet, until the cheering began. People clapped, shouted, and hugged each other. A long line of neighbors had gathered, smiling, laughing, holding small bags of groceries ready to shop. Even kids danced around the sidewalk. Some held little signs that said, "Welcome back." "We missed you." Mr. Jordan stepped inside and took a deep breath. The shelves were full again, thanks to donations from kind strangers and local charities who had seen his story on the news. The lights were brighter, the colors warmer. But what truly made the store feel alive again was the people. Mrs. Langston came in first. She didn't buy anything, she just gave Mr. Jordan a big hug. Then came Malik and his mother. She paid for her groceries with full pride and whispered, "You gave us hope. Let us give back now." But not everyone was happy. Across the street, Rick sat in his office watching the crowd from behind a tinted window. His phone rang again and again, but he didn't answer. He had lost more than just a deal. He had lost his reputation. Inside the store, Clara filmed the moment as Malik helped Mr. Jordan bag groceries. People laughed, shared stories, and even sang, but Mr. Jordan knew the fight wasn't fully over. The damage done by Eastway Development still hung over the community. Other small shops nearby were also being pressured, slowly, quietly, and cruelly. So Mr. Jordan had a new idea. He stood on the counter and clapped his hands for attention. "Everyone," he said, smiling, "I want to say thank you. You saved this store. You saved me. But now, it's time we save each other." They say, crowd went silent. He continued, "What happened to me is happening to others too. Shops being pushed out, homes being bought by force, voices being silenced." People nodded, some even teared up. Mr. Jordan pointed to a corner of the shop where a small table and board had been set up. Starting today, this store is not just for food. It's a voice for all of us. If you're being treated unfairly, if your home or business is under attack, write it down, put it on the board. We will speak together, Clara added. And I'll write about it. Every voice matters. The board filled up fast. Notes, complaints, even thank you letters. People were no longer afraid. They had found strength in each other. The next day, Clara's second story was posted online. The market that fought back and sparked a movement. It went viral. Celebrities shared it. Community leaders called Mr. Jordan personally. A local school invited him to speak. A famous chef offered to restock his store for free. Even the mayor showed up, cameras flashing, to shake Mr. Jordan's hand. "I heard this place is special," the mayor said. Mr. Jordan smiled. "It's not just special, it's home." More changes followed. A group of lawyers volunteered to help small businesses on 5th Street stay protected. A new community wall was built outside Jordan's Market, where people could share their stories, drawings, or ideas. It became a symbol of hope. Rick's company, Eastway, was fined and investigated. They lost major deals and had to shut down several of their offices. Rick himself disappeared from public view. Back at the store, Mr. Jordan worked every day. He swept the floors, helped bag groceries, gave advice, and listened. One night, Malik stayed late and asked, "Why do you still work so hard?" Mr. Jordan looked around at the shining shelves, the photos on the walls, the soft music playing in the background. He smiled. "Because love doesn't close at 5 p.m. Malik grinned. "One day I want to open a store too." Mr. Jordan put a hand on his shoulder. "And I'll be your first customer." Outside, the city lights twinkled. Inside, Jordan's Market glowed like a heartbeat. Steady, strong, and full of life. Months passed, and Jordan's Market became more than just a place to buy food. It became a symbol of resilience, a place where the community came together, not only to shop but to fight for what was right. Mr. Jordan stood behind the counter one sunny afternoon, watching the crowd that filled his store. It wasn't just the regulars anymore. Tourists came in, curious about the store that had sparked a movement. Local reporters and bloggers dropped by to write about the miracle of 5th Street, but the spotlight never distracted Mr. Jordan. His heart was still focused on the people he cared for, his customers, his neighbors, and the children who had once played outside his store, now running around the aisles with laughter in their voices. One morning, Clara arrived with a package. In her hands, it was an invitation. The neighborhood was throwing a celebration in his honor. She handed it to him with a smile. "We've been planning it for weeks," she said. "This is your moment, Mr. Jordan." "I don't need a celebration," he replied, his voice humble. "What I need is for this neighborhood to stay strong." "But you're a part of the reason it is strong," Clara insisted. "People came together because of you." And so the event happened. It was held right outside Jordan's Market. There were tables full of food, music, laughter, and speeches. The crowd was larger than Mr. Jordan had ever imagined. One by one, people came up to speak. Mrs. Langston was first. "Mr. Jordan saved my life. I couldn't pay for my medications, but he made sure I always had something to eat. And when I was too old to carry my groceries, he always helped me." Malik stood next. "When I grow up, I want to be just like you. You showed me that kindness is stronger than anything money can buy." The mayor stood at the podium as well. "What Mr. Jordan did wasn't just about one store. It was about standing up for each other. We need more people like him." Finally, Mr. Jordan stood up. The crowd went silent. "Thank you," he began, his voice steady. "But this isn't about me. This is about all of you. It's about a community that refused to back down. We fought for what's right, and now we've built something that will last." He paused, looking at the faces of the people who had stood by him. "We've proven that when we stand together, nothing can break us." The applause was deafening. Mr. Jordan felt his heart swell. It wasn't just his victory, it was everyone's. That evening, The whole street lit up with lights. Music filled the air, and laughter echoed down Fifth Street. But in the middle of the celebration, Mr. Jordan slipped away for a moment of peace. He stood outside his store, looking up at the stars. "I did it, Father," he whispered. "I didn't let your dream die." He thought back to all the times he'd spent with his father in the store, the laughter, the lessons, the dreams they'd shared. His father's spirit was still with him, guiding him every step of the way. As the weeks passed, more businesses on Fifth Street started to stand, up for themselves, inspired by the courage of Mr. Jordan. The small shops that had once been under threat began to thrive again. A movement had been born, and it was growing. Even the real estate company, Eastway Development, was forced to change its practices. They were no longer able to push small businesses out of the city without facing public outrage and legal battles. Their reputation, once strong, crumbled under the weight of their greed, but Mr. Jordan didn't care about their downfall. What mattered to him was the strength of his community, the legacy of kindness, and the belief that together anything was possible. Years later, a new sign was put up above Jordan's Market, "In honor of the dream." And every year, the neighborhood celebrated with the same event, a reminder of the fight, the unity, and the victory they had shared. As Mr. Jordan grew older, he passed the store on to Malik, who had become like a son to him. He trusted the young man with the future, knowing that the values of kindness, strength, and community would live on through him. Malik smiled the first day he opened the door as the new owner. The store was full of people once again, laughing, talking, and sharing. Mr. Jordan, sitting in the corner, looked at the young man. "You're ready, Malik. This place is yours now." And as he watched the next generation of Fifth Street thrive, Mr. Jordan knew one thing for sure. His legacy would never fade. It lived on in every act of kindness, every small victory, and every person who walked through the doors of Jordan's Market.